Class, I am Ronnie Greene, and I'm delighted to welcome you to our class of writing a nonfiction book proposal. This semester, we will work together all with one shared goal, and that is for each student in the class to leave the semester with a proposal for a nonfiction book that is in shape that you can then pitch to agents, to publishers, that you can say, this is the book that I am the author to write. And I'm very excited to go through that process with you. And so one of the questions is, how will we get there? How will we get from beginning of the class, semester one, to a book proposal at the end? One way we're going to get there is by hearing from a number of experts in the field. During the course of the class, you're going to hear from 3 authors about their books, and those authors are also going to share with you the proposals that they wrote that then became the published books. And you as a class will learn lessons from these authors, and we'll see the fine print of their proposals, I think, which should help you with your proposals, help give you a sense, a guide of what should be in your proposals. You'll also hear from a very high-level agent who is truly expert in knowing which nonfiction book proposals will work and maybe which ones are not really ready to work. And then beyond that, this agent is very expert in knowing who to pitch those proposals to, which publishers specifically should you target, what is your market audience, where are you marketing this book. So you'll get some real lessons learned in the field from nitty-gritty experiences from 3 authors and an agent. And beyond soaking up those lessons, in class you'll also be writing a number of discussion items about each speaker. And you're going to analyze their talks, how their talks and their lessons could maybe affect your proposal, what they said that helps, what they said that maybe is not relevant to your work. We'll all do discussion items on each of the 4 speakers, and those discussion items will account for 20% of your overall grade. That means the bulk of your grade then will be your proposal, will be the book proposal you'll have at the end of the semester. This is one of the ones that I have for one of my books. And that will account for 80% of your grade is your book proposal. And what each of you is going to do is we're going to go through stages in this semester to get to the finished product. We're going to begin with sort of a very short 1 to maybe 2 or 3 page sort of pitch memo, what your book is about, in really concisely saying what it's about and why you're the expert to be writing this book. Then throughout the course of this semester, each of you will do a first draft of your proposal, a second draft, a third, and then a third and final draft, which will be your proposal. And that will be approximately 25 pages. That is sort of a guide. It's not a requirement. It's just a good working number. Some of your proposals may be a little longer. One of my proposals was 60 pages, although the one I'll share with you was, I think, 30 or 34 pages. Some of your proposals may be 20 pages, a little bit less, but view that as a guide. And along the way, of course, you will see the actual proposals from the 3 author guest speakers, but you will also see a template for a proposal that includes many of the characteristics. And some of you may already be familiar with this, some of you won't, but we'll all just reinforce what are some of the key core issues that are going to be in every proposal. One of them is an overview. It's sort of a summary of the story, whether it's reported nonfiction, a memoir, a personal essay, an overview of what it's about. Then you'll often have list of your chapters, chapter summaries, sort of showing the arc and the scope of the book. You might have 10, 15, 20 chapter summaries, very brief summaries saying what the book is about. Many, although not all proposals, then have a sample chapter where you really show your hand as a writer. You really spend the most time on this sample chapter than you do on any other part of the book proposal. And for my first book, that's what I did, and when a publisher bought that book, they cited that sample chapter as the main reason. So it really paid off. In the other proposals I did a number of sort of chapter sketches, so I didn't break out one individual. So again, it's not a one-size-fits-all, but many of you will do a sample chapter that will show your hand in a really meaningful way. Other parts of your proposal include sort of a marketing plan. Who you think would be interested in buying your book, who are the readers who will be interested in buying your book, who are the publishers who are best suited for your book and why they are best suited for your book. And also you'll want to talk about a little bit about yourself and why you are the expert to be the one to tell this book. Another element of your proposal will be you'll do a little section on comparable titles. Other books that serve as an inspiration for your book and maybe are parallel books, and I did that for each of my proposals, and you'll see that when you see my proposal. Did comparable books in this time about the civil rights era. And so you'll have all those elements in your books, proposals. One thing I wanted to say about nonfiction book proposals is the whole process is a bit of a gamble. You're having faith in yourself, you're having faith in the book proposal you're having. And I've written 3 books. I'll talk about myself in just a second. But in each of those books, I did a fair amount of reporting that went into the proposal before actually putting the proposal together, not knowing whether or not it would sell. Before I talk more about that, a little bit about myself. Ronnie Greene, Professor Ronnie Greene, professor this semester. I am by day a investigative journalist. I now am a senior investigative editor at ProPublica in Washington, directing a 5-person investigative reporting team for that really high-quality nonprofit news organization. I spent much of my career in South Florida at the Miami Herald, which I loved deeply as both an investigative editor and investigative reporter. Have been in Washington since 2011, and other than working at ProPublica, my other stops included at Reuters, where I was Washington Enterprise editor for 6.5 years, editing long-term investigative narrative stories. And also I was a senior investigative reporter and editor at the Center for Public Integrity, which, like ProPublica, is a nonprofit and has produced really meaningful journalism. That's my day job. My night, vacation, weekend job is as an author. I have written 3 books of nonfiction. I'll speak briefly about those. My first book was called Nightfire, Big Oil, Poison Air, and Margie Richards' Fight to Save Her Town. This is what some would call a book about environmental racism in a small town in southern Louisiana, where a small 4th Street all-black community took on Shell Oil. And the leader of the fight was a single mother, public school teacher who lived in a trailer not 20 feet from the fence line to the Shell chemical plant. My second book, which was published in 2015, is called Shots on the Bridge, Police Cover-Up and Violence in the Wake of Katrina. This is about a truly horrific and troubling case of police abuse of citizens in the crazy, chaotic days after Katrina, in which 2 citizens were killed, 4 others were maimed, 2 good families were attacked, 2 families just trying to survive the storm, attacked by police who wrongly thought they were involved in something else. And it's about that horrific morning on this bridge and the cover-up that took root and sort of the 10-year fight for justice by the families, just pressing for the truth to come out. My most recent book is called Heart of Atlanta, 5 Black Pastors in the Supreme Court Victory for Integration. And this is a book about the Civil Rights Act of 1964, and more specifically the fight over racism in restaurants and motels, and a story about 5 really unknown ministers, disciples of Martin Luther King, who took on those places of commerce that would not serve black customers, and about their struggle, risking their lives for equality for all. And as I mentioned, in each case, I sort of believed in this story enough, in each of these stories enough, where I did a fair amount of reporting. I think between the 3 books, I probably took 5 reported trips out of state to do research without knowing whether or not I would get a book contract. But the idea was, and the idea for you is, you want to do enough reporting, whether it's for a book of narrative nonfiction, a memoir, even books of essays. Reporting is infused in each one of these. You want to do enough reporting so in your proposal you'll show your hand that you really are the authority, that you are the person to tell the story, and you get enough detail that really infuses your book proposal with detail that's convincing, that's granular, and that's really meaningful. And another thing that I learned, and I think every author of nonfiction narrative learns, is while you spend a lot of time in your proposal, if you get that glorious day when you get a contract, and that glorious day and those glorious years you spend then writing the book, you'll end up learning. There's so much more you learn about the book. So while the proposal is very informative and very detailed, it really is just the start. But before any of us can get to books, we have to start with the proposal. And this is one of the proposals for one of my books, which I will share with you in class. And The goal for each of you is to leave this class with a proposal you feel really great about that you then can shop to agents, to publishers, and can get you to where you're writing a book. I really look forward to working with you this semester, and we'll be talking with you soon. Thank you.